What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And if you are, it's about to get even better because today I have a story time about this senior prank that went a little bit too far. This is a subscriber story that was sent in. But something about senior pranks just make me happy, alright? I don't know if it's like the fact that the seniors are getting revenge for all the crap the schools made them do, or the fact that they tend to be like a little bit creative, you know? But something about senior pranks get me hyped, so as soon as I saw this in the DMs, I knew I had to tell you guys it, so it's what we're gonna be talking about today. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, I pull up and I got those. You haters looking cheesy like some nachos.
Alright, so basically for those of you who are not American or like not familiar with it, the senior prank is a tradition where people before they graduate do a prank on the school that they went to just kind of like show it who's boss and say goodbye. And usually the senior pranks, I'm not gonna lie, are relatively lame, you know? It's like, oh my god, they TP'd our school, or it's like, you know, oh, they made everyone 5 minutes late. Like, it's usually nothing too crazy, which means that whenever somebody actually has like a really insane senior prank and it gets a little bit out of control, it's even more legendary, you know? And I guess the person who sent in this story's high school had a reputation for senior pranks that were a little bit insane. I guess there was like an MTV show back in the day where they would show senior pranks on TV, and they were on there twice. One time because somebody had like crawled into the roof and released crickets, you know, inside of those ceiling tiles, you know? And then another time because they had done like a squirt gun fight in the middle of the day. Like, you know how it is, just normal senior prank stuff. But regardless, because they had been on TV and it had gotten out of control both times, the school kind of had a reputation for having like super insane senior pranks, you know? So when it was this person's turn to graduate, they knew they had to go pretty hard. But they wanted to make the principal, you know, the administration, not think that they were gonna go incredibly hard. Because here's the thing, once your school kind of gets a reputation for getting out of control with senior pranks and like having those types of issues, the principals and the administration start to crack down a little bit. They know it's going to be an issue, so they're like, oh, you think that you're just going to get a senior prank? Nah, we're going to be vigilant like eagles. We're going to big brother you, all right? We're going to read all your text messages, all that good stuff that you normally do when you're trying to creep on people to find out if they're pranking you. So they're like, we need a decoy prank. So they decide to do a decoy prank, which is the following. Another school a little bit away wanted to do a senior prank, but they obviously didn't have nearly as much pressure on them to like do a crazy one and live up to the reputation of the other senior classes before them. So they basically organized a system where like the senior classes were gonna switch for the day at these two schools. So everybody got assigned somebody from the other school to like get a schedule from, and they switch places, which in and of itself is like a pretty good senior prank, you know? That is a pretty good senior prank to switch classes with another senior's class. Like, that's pretty smart. The only problem is it just means that you have to go to school for another day, so like I don't really know if that would be enjoyable, but it's not bad. But regardless, as soon as that happens, the administration of the school like puts their guard down. Oh my gosh, the prank was so laid back this year. How crazy. These kids weren't destructive. And that's when they decide to start planning the real one. So the way that this high school was laid out, or the way they described it to me, is that across the street they had just broken ground to start building like an extension to the school, and so they had like construction equipment and they had started unearthing stuff. And it is in the southwest of the United States. It's not in Nevada, sadly, you know, but it's one of those. New Mexico, Arizona. I'm not gonna give out the specific location because like I don't know, when people send me stories, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say and how much I'm supposed to like leave vague, but let's just say when they were moving land, there ended up being some relatively large-sized rocks that were unearthed and had to have been moved. And I don't know if this is just a Southwest thing or if it's like something that actually happens on all construction sites, but when they close down, sometimes they'll leave the keys inside of the big equipment because it's like, where are you gonna put the keys on a construction site, you know? And this happened to be one of those construction sites where people had gotten a little bit loose with the key placement and started just like leaving the keys in these massive machines that were being used to excavate dirt and move stuff around and all that jazz. And so basically, these geniuses are like, in the middle of the night, let's go take these excavators and we're gonna close in the parking lot with these big boulders, you know? And everybody's like, oh, that'll be funny. No one will be able to park or get into school. And that's the plan. That's what's supposed to go down. So The night comes where they're supposed to do it, and sure enough, they're like wearing all black like little ninjas, sneaking onto this construction site in the hopes of being able to break into, one of these machines and use it to block out the parking lot, as you do it for a senior prank. The only problem with this ideology is that they let a little too many people in on it. Like, here's the thing with a good prank: to make sure that it doesn't get out of control and nobody gets out of hand, you gotta make sure that it's only people that you trust, You don't want some random guy that's like got anger issues and might decide to just start punching everything if he just gets pissed off. You don't want somebody that might snitch. Like, generally, when you're trying to pull off a good prank, you gotta keep the crew small because too many people just usually leads to, like, too many problems. You guys know the drill. Think of a prank a lot like a bank robbery. You only want people you trust, so that way if the cops start asking questions, everybody keeps their mouth shut. And basically, they made the mistake of bringing a couple too many people to this, prank. And so, one group of kids kind of splinters away from this main group, and they were kind of the kids that are known to get a little bit out of control. They're known to go a little bit too far and, are just overall known for getting a little bit out of hand in general. Everybody knows those kids in high school, like the kids, where the teacher will be like, hey, please stop talking, and they can't stop making jokes that stop being funny in middle school. Or like the kids that always push it too far, it's all fun and games, everybody's having a good time, so they just start like being the kid punching people in PE. Or the kid who, makes the teacher tell everyone to put their phones away because they couldn't be quiet. Like those types of kids. So they kind of splinter off from the group, but because everybody else is focused on getting their prank done, nobody else really notices. So as they kind of split away, everybody else focuses on just getting their job done. So sure enough, one of the like bulldozer things, it wasn't a bulldozer, that's not the right word for it. What's the one called where it has like the bucket thing in the front? I don't know. Anyways, they use it to like scoop up one of these big rocks and they drive it across the street, which, if you're doing it in the middle of the night is pretty easy. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh my gosh, how didn't you get caught? You clearly have never lived in a suburban place where like at 2 a.m, there's no reason for anyone to be thinking that kids are going to be moving rocks across the parking lot at the school. Not to mention, because the school already thought they'd been pranked, they weren't exactly on high alert for anything else going down. So sure enough, they start moving the rocks and they end up blocking off all of the entrances to the parking lot. And they're like, oh, that was sick. Isn't that awesome? Like, wow, that was pretty easy. And this entire time, they're like, where's the other group of people? And they see that the other machine is gone, and there's some rocks that have been moved, but they're like, oh, maybe they had just gone and done it to the teacher's parking lot, who knows? And right when they're like talking about how they probably went to get the teacher's parking lot, and it probably wasn't that bad, the other people come back in their forklift, right? And they have this smile on their face, and they're like, dude, trust me, we're about to go down as legends, like, I have no doubt that we're gonna be the group of people that go down for the best senior prank ever. So they're like, well, what did you guys do? And they say, don't worry about it, we just got the garden. And basically, in the back of the school was like this greenhouse and this super sick terraced, like, garden school farm thing that was really nice. And so they are like, oh crap. So they go over to see what is going on, and sure enough, they had taken that machine and all those boulders and just absolutely thrashed every single piece of like they had rolled the rocks down the terraced garden. They had basically driven like the equipment through the greenhouse. They had just absolutely destroyed it. And at this point, everybody involved, like all 20 people there, including the people who did that, are like, okay, well, this escalated quickly. This was supposed to just be one of those silly fun pranks where we blocked the cars from getting in, but now we've officially caused like hundreds of thousands of dollars in property damage, and pretty sure this one's a felony, so not as fun anymore. And for anybody out there that does want to do a senior prank, if you're really like, yes, senior pranks are for me, just a general rule of advice: try to avoid things that will land you in prison, because chances are, if you're a senior in high school, you're not made for prison. And trust me, nobody in there is gonna like your pranks, dude. I'm very, very confident about that Ted Bundy would not be impressed by your ability to destroy a garden. And also, like, being that destructive just isn't cool. What is the prank in just destroying stuff? Like, that's not funny. Blocking people's way into the parking lot is funny because it's like, look, you could park right there, but you can't get in. Way to go. Guess you're gonna have to park somewhere else. Like, that's kind of funny. Just destroying like a beautiful garden that your school had worked hard to make isn't a good prank. It just makes you look like the biggest tool ever. Ha ha, I hate Mother Nature. How dare it try to like grow plants and stuff. Like, what's your deal, man? Like, what did those poor plants do to you? And I'm not trying to be a tree-hugging hippie either, but I'm just saying, like, they never even stood a chance, dude. What is a bean sprout supposed to do against, like, a forklift running it over and over again? Jack can't be climbing that hoe if it's 6 feet under the ground because Marcus and his meth heads decided to go too crazy with construction equipment. So at that point, everybody's like, look, we gotta get out of here because the school is gonna take this seriously. It's all fun and games when you block that. It's all fun and games when, you know, you switch senior classes with another school. It's not exactly fun and games when you cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in property damage. So everybody gets out of there and it's like, look, we can't tell that we were there. Everybody has to keep their mouth shut, otherwise we're all gonna get in trouble. But sure enough, the same kids that were dumb enough to cause all the property damage also wanted credit for it, because basically the entire school is like shocked, you know. They're definitely like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What type of savages would cause this much damage? So because these kids are pretty dumb, they basically end up bragging to everybody that will listen that they did it, and here's how they did it. They had gone across the street and da-da-da-da-da. So sure enough, by like lunchtime, sorry, my alarm was going off. I was supposed to be taking a nap, but sure enough, by like lunchtime, they've all been rounded up, all 20 of them, because basically all they had to do was go check the cameras of stuff like near across the street, and sure enough, they see all these kids pull up and their license plate numbers and everything. So they initially think that all 20 people are involved, so they call everybody in and they're basically like, all of you are gonna be getting charges, you know, we can't believe that you thought it would be a funny prank to go out and desecrate the beautiful school grounds that, you know, we've spent so much time working on. It's the students that do that, like saying all this stuff. And the guy who sent me this story does something that, you know, I'm actually in favor of in only certain situations, but he's like, look, I'm not about to get a felony charge for something that I didn't do. So he basically says, go ahead, check the school cameras. Not all of us were involved with vandalizing, you know, like the garden. And the kids who were involved are instantly like, oh my god, what a snitch, like you just broke the #1 rule. But hear me out. If you go out and commit a felony that I wasn't involved in and didn't know you were gonna commit, and then I'm about to get in trouble for it, yeah, I'm gonna snitch, easily. I didn't do anything. Like, it's not like anybody else was involved in going too far and destroying innocent nature. That was your guys' decision. And all of a sudden, when they are like, oh, not all of you were involved, the tone changes, and they're like, we're gonna have to investigate. But the reason the tone changes is usually the kids that take it too far and get into trouble are nobodies, you know? Like, they're kids that they don't mind yelling at, but these kids just so happen to be like, you know, some students that had some influence, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Mommy and daddy may have had a building named after them. So once they kind of realized that not everybody was involved and the only people that were stupid enough to go destroy everything happened to be the kids that, you know, have donated some money to the school, like the administration's entire tone changes and they're like, well, you know, maybe charging criminal charges would be a little bit too harsh. You guys are young. We wouldn't want to ruin such, you know, potential filled lives. That would just be horrible if we managed to ruin any of your guys' prospects at college. It's like, oh, you know, 10 seconds ago we were all screwed and these guys probably would have gotten off their hook because their parents can get good lawyers. But now that all the normal kids aren't in trouble, now you're gonna be like, maybe that's too far. Yeah, you know what else is too far? I don't know, deciding to rampage drive construction equipment through a garden for the lols. Maybe that's a little bit too far. The only punishment that they ended up getting for destroying that garden ended up being that they couldn't walk at graduation, which, like, honestly isn't a punishment. But yeah, anyways guys, that's the story about how they went way too far. Moral of the story is if your parents have money, you can basically get away with destroying anything. But be careful of who you invite to pranks. If that's any lesson you can take from this story, it's keep an eye on who you got around you, because you never know when idiots are going to take it too far and maybe get you a felony. That's some general advice. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would appreciate you pressing the like button. If you enjoyed the intro song, a link will be down below. But on that note, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and get yourself some of the merch if you have not already. I promise you 100% it can guarantee to get you a girlfriend. That's actually not true. I'm factually required to say that, but it will 100% definitely 100% not get you a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, on that note guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.